How does being an immigrant shape your views on immigration?
I just think I don't have the political correctness BS approach to it. So I can be honest and say, I think some immigration's good if it's carefully selective and if we're bringing people who have the potential to contribute.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not constrained by this, because no one can accuse me of hating immigrants, right? So
that don't make no sense.
So then I don't have to deal with that before I say my actual opinion.
It's a very slippery argument because it goes from you're exclusionary, you don't know what you've got, you've never needed to go through this, to you've pulled the ladder up after you.
Yeah.
It just continues to sort of move down the predictable stack.
Yeah, but the other thing about it is that every immigrant will tell you, some of them will tell you this in private rather than in public, but like, I know the Russian society, there's some amazing people in Russia and in Ukraine and all of Eastern Europe, talented, creative, driven, ambitious, really, really resilient in ways that are hard for people actually in the West to even comprehend. Really brilliant people. But there are also some awful people in Russia. Now, if we are going to allow people to come from that country or any other country, which of those groups of people do we want, right? Like, we'd all acknowledge that every country has within it the types of people that you'd want more of and the types of people you might want less of if you wanted a cohesive, dynamic society. So I can say, without being called a bigot, I do not want the dregs of Russia's society or the dregs of Ukrainian society or the dregs of Armenian society or the dregs of the Pakistani society in our country. But I do want some of the best people who might want to come from all of those countries to come here and contribute.
Okay, so what I think he's saying is he acknowledges that he himself is an immigrant. But I think in his mind, he's one of the good ones in that he feels that he's got something to contribute. We've got no idea what he's got to contribute, but he feels that he does. And in that way, he feels justified. Then he goes on to try and separate himself from other immigrants, saying that he's not the bad one, but we want to keep away from the bad ones, the undefined bad. And this is why it's problematic. The undefined bad is all immigrants. So that includes him. But to be honest, I do think that he's missing the point. I am born of this country, but I think the thing that all countries understand and everybody agrees, there is a level of immigration which is too much. And I actually agree that we are already there. And it's not by just doing an eyeball test, it's by looking at the numbers. And I think it's not in any way racist for the indigenous people to be worried about incredibly high numbers of immigration. And again, that's where we're at. So everything else that he's saying about this and that with immigration is actually a red herring. We're not only looking for doctors and entrepreneurs. Yes, we need those, but we also do need people to work in the farms, people to work in the hospitals. We need people to fill the job gap. So yes, we should be more selective about who we bring in. Correct. Everything else is a red herring. And one of the avenues where people seem to be gaming the system is asylum. So again, the solution really is, do we want to try and alter that treaty or withdraw from it? And then we're having a sensible debate. I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with that debate. But the one thing that I will add that I mentioned earlier, there's the understandable concerns about immigration on one hand, and there's the economic cost in terms of leaving Europe in the hope of being able to manage our own borders again. But I think what this whole exercise has revealed is, without being in Europe, we'll never get the cooperation of France, and we'll never be able to stop them coming over unless we withdraw from that treaty. So without that, there's nothing else. But even with that, we can't send people to other countries because they've got a right to say no, and they will say no. So we've got this whether we like it or not. Remember how much it cost to send 100 people to Rwanda? It's like 100 million plus for 100 people that never actually touched ground in Rwanda. We've got over 50,000 people coming over on the boats. So I think there needs to be a level of honesty about, number one, what can be done? How can we filter out the people who are not genuine asylum seekers and avoid stigmatising the whole group? Some of them will be genuine asylum seekers coming from really awful situations in their home country. The types of people that, all things considered, we're happy to offer sanctuary to, and they're being harassed just like everybody else. And that is against the law because it's harassment and it's not British. But I hope that we can have some sensible debates about the practical, legal and responsible ways that we can limit these immigration numbers.